Okay, guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Wynwood Mural Fest Culture Brunch. It's hosted by Urbane now. And I send greetings from Amsterdam and a big thanks and big up to you for joining us today. Today we have a special talk together with organizers from some of the leading events and projects in the street art scene. I call it the Corona Chronicles because I want to talk today about what this year brought for us, all the experiences, obstacles, and challenges. And of course, we want to look out what's going to happen next year. So I give the word to Lars from Copenhagen. The stage is yours, bud.
Thank you, Marcus. My name is Lars. I'm from Copenhagen. I am the director of Institute of Urban Art in Copenhagen. We do all kinds of creative painting projects. I'm also the curating for Roskilde Festival, which is one of the biggest music and arts festival in the world. And I'm also hosting a TV series called The Rise of Graffiti Writing on Arte TV. So nice to meet all you guys. I look forward to having a nice little conversation about our life in this COVID world. I'm sorry I couldn't be in Miami. I want to go back next year because Miami is always really fun.
For sure.
Yeah. Let's talk instead of being in Miami.
Yeah, Dave.
Yeah, nice to be here. My name is Dave from Rotterdam. I'm director of Power Rotterdam, director of Rewriters. It's a local project focusing on giving local artists the platform in their own city. We do festivals. We do a lot of education stuff, and we do a lot of graffiti and street art things as well. So we try to combine both scenes. Nice to be here.
Top. Lee from London.
Hi, my name's Lee. I'm one of the co-founders of Global Street Art. We're an organization that's existed for nearly 10 years now with a very simple mission to live in painted cities. That's why we do what we do. We have 3 streams of activity. We promote street art and artists online to around 500,000 followers. We have a very big community side that's organized now over 2,500 legal murals in London since 2012. We're the founders of London Mural Festival, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, which happened for the first time this year. We have other projects that put murals in housing estates called Art for Estates, 100 plus murals so far at no cost to councils or residents. And then we also have our agency, which works with property developers, landlords, painting large-scale murals. We have a hand-painted advertising function, so that's Global Street Art Agency, which is quite separate from the art function. But we really enjoy working within an ecosystem of amazing artists locally, and that inspires us and drives lots of what we do. And we've sought many ways to try and make it sustainable over the years. And it's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you. Stefan, welcome.
Hi guys, my name is Stefan. I'm the founder of the association Urbane Kunst. We are based in Basel, Switzerland. The first events we ever did was around 2007. At that time under a different name. And for the last 5 years, we go under the name Urbane Kunst. What we do is basically we are the middleman between the artists and clients if there are requests for paintings or for jobs. Another thing what we do is we organize events. We try to do this once a year, like we did last August, our last event. And basically we try to keep the scene together and get a little bit more attention to the graffiti and the street art scene in Switzerland, as well as inviting international artists to Basel to paint walls and do other events with us. That's basically it.
Cool. Okay, last but not least, my name is Marcus. I'm the director of Urbane now. We exist since 10 years in the city of Amsterdam, and our mission is to promote street art and graffiti in the city. Therefore, we organize a yearly urban art festival. It's the biggest festival for street art in Amsterdam. It has its 10-year anniversary this year, which is going completely online due to COVID regulations and the closure of cultural places and museums, right? That just So yeah, so we have and we are also like production partners at the Wynwood Mural Fest. So supporting Steph and the crew in Wynwood once in a while. All right. I will just quickly switch over to round 2. I want to talk actually about, hey, what was planned in your organization and your circles this year? What did go through, and especially also what didn't go through? What was your experiences with like 2020 and 2 lockdowns? Lars.
Thank you, Marcus. Yeah, we can. It's a 3-step thing. Obviously, we were supposed to put out the 4th season of the TV series called The Rise of Graffiti Writing. We were supposed to shoot it in Southern Europe this summer. But yeah, we're not going with a TV crew to Spain and Italy and so on during a pandemic. So the TV series is simply postponed probably until next year, and we hope to pick it up then. So that's kind of easy to postpone kind of project. Then we had the Roskilde Festival, which is obviously a huge festival, 100,000 tickets sold. One of the biggest cultural events in Scandinavia and also in Europe. Our event was cancelled at the Danish Prime Minister's press briefing on TV, where she just went on TV and said, "Hey guys, there's not going to be any festivals in Denmark this summer. That's it." And that was 16 months of planning down the drain. What do we do? Our organization is obviously built to have an annual event. How does it change all the economics and so on? For me personally, as the curator of the urban art at the festival, it was a huge blow. I had a lot of plans to fly in artists from all over the world. We were doing some out-of-the-box projects. All I could do was simply just, put it all in a box, put it all in my drawer and say, I hope I can dig it out next year or the following year. All the artists still want to come. We just need kind of a permission from the state to gather 150,000 people in a field outside the city. Right now, you can gather 10 people. So it's obviously a huge climb until we can bring back massive festivals in Europe. And that's a huge drawback for that project. Now, the most interesting part has obviously been my everyday work, which is Institute of Urban Art in Copenhagen, where I'm directing. Initially, when COVID hit, we had a lot of cancellations of really big projects. We had a lot of stuff lined up this year. We lost a lot of budget and a lot of big projects that we had put a lot of planning into. Now, what was interesting was that really soon after this first wave of cancellation, a lot of new opportunities opened up. Obviously, people thinking that, hey, painting can be done in a COVID world. So you can definitely get together, not physically, but you can get projects together where you paint. Painting is not really something you need to be a lot of people at the same place. People can still enjoy it and so on. So a lot of, really quickly, a lot of new opportunities came about. And since we are in what some people would call a very socialist world, we have a government that actually looks out for regular people. We were able to get a lot of support from the government in terms of our business, in terms of getting money and grants. And the government also really quickly put out a lot of cultural grants to try to make society better over the summer, which means that for once, there was actually a lot of grants and a lot of applications to be put in where you had a realistic chance of getting cultural money from the state to your urban art projects. So we, over the summer, did a ton of workshops involving young people, of course, within COVID distancing and all this
regulations,
stuff. We also did a bunch of cultural art projects involving professional artists. So you could say that it was not something that I saw coming, but we ended up having the state as kind of our biggest economic partner for doing a lot of really nice, really not non-commercial, pure art projects over the whole summer. And that's been really nice. I know that that's not the situation in every country around the world, but I definitely feel that that art and especially what we do, painting in all kinds of sizes and shapes, is really adaptable to the COVID world. The only thing you can do is get huge crowds to look at them at the same time, but you can definitely put them out there, and you can definitely do them. So yeah.
Cool.
Now what I'm mostly looking into that I don't have the answer for is how does all this economic turmoil going on in the world, how will that affect all the budgets and stuff that we will have in the next couple of years? Because obviously some people are now not making any money and a lot of people are making new money. And I'm thinking a lot of money chains will be broken for the future. And that's maybe one thing we should talk about eventually in this talk.
Yeah, we do it in round 4
later. So, but yeah, we are live. We're doing projects in another way than we used to, but we're definitely out here painting a lot, emptying a lot of cans. That's for sure.
Perfect. Thanks. Dave, what's up in Rotterdam?
I can really relate what Lars is saying. Like in the first lockdown, a lot of projects got cancelled. Then after that, we saw a lot of opportunities coming by. So we did a lot of new projects because a lot of people were realizing that, okay, we can do festivals, we can do big events, but we can make art in the streets, for instance, or we can have art inside. Or digital. So we were very busy. And yeah, for Powwow, it was very special because we were very positive, like from day one, that we could continue the festival. Because, you know, the most important part of Powwow is painting outside, of course. And at the last day of the week of the Powwow Festival, we have like a big festival to celebrate all the murals, and we have like a festival in a big park with music stage and dance stage and that kind of stuff. But we said to each other that, you know, let's stay positive. Powwow, we will find a solution to get it done. I mean, it was hard, of course, because, you know, we had to think about a lot of scenarios. We had like 10 scenarios to think about in COVID times. But, you know, after like 6 months, we decided, okay, if we really want to continue the festival, we need to work with local artists only artists from the Netherlands. So we had like our whole lineup was done. It was very, you know, internationally. We wanted to book the tickets and the hotels, and then we said to each other, okay, just to be in control, to continue, we need to switch that and go to Dutch artists only. So we did that, and it was a big success. And we were very lucky as well, I think, because our festival was in September. Like in the summer, you know, there were more possibilities here in the Netherlands to do things, and we came up with a construction that, like, the whole week we had like the murals outside. That wasn't a problem. We have a special application for your phone that you can, you know, visit all the murals with all the information, so you can go whatever time you want to go. So it's not a tour that you need to book. So that was like perfect. And at the end, we had the festival area, but without music, because, you know, that was the whole thing from the government. They said you can't have live. So we had to cancel like the big music stage. But to be honest, it was, I think, the only real festival in the Netherlands that went on, because on that day, like in the park, you know, the park was open. Everybody could sit in the grass, you know, everybody could get something to eat, get something to drink, you know, and watch art. You know, we had one of our programs is 20 vans, 30 cans, so people can submit their own vehicle for for big paint job. So everybody was, you know, totally focusing on that program. And I think like in the whole week, I think we had 6,000 or 7,000 visitors during the whole week. You know, and it was fine. Everybody was, was understanding the rules. and we had a blast. We had a great festival, very good reactions, and we were very lucky because the festival was in September. Because 2 weeks later, a new lockdown was there in the Netherlands.
Oh,
So and the festival was like 2
perfect.
weeks later, then it couldn't went on. So yeah, we were very happy with the result, and yeah, and we see a lot of new opportunities as well. I mean, like in this time now, we just got like a go for 2 new projects, and that needed to be realized like this year. So yeah,
cool. Let's talk about
great.
this in the next round,
Yeah.
actually.
Sorry?
And
Yeah.
let's talk about these opportunities in the next round, because
Yeah,
I think
sure.
that's like a really important part also of what's going on. No, but congratulations also for the powwow. Anything else that happened? So powwow was the only festival
Well,
that
I
you
mean,
guys.
Power was really the only festival that we do. But you know, just like what Lars was saying, we did a lot of workshops as well. We did a lot of tours. We did a lot of murals in the last month as well. So I mean,
Okay, cool.
it was crazy. A lot of people losing their jobs, you know, and we had a lot of cool projects that we could do. So yeah, it's kind of crazy, but you know, we're very happy, of course. But
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Cool one. Lee, what's up in London?
Yeah, I mean, so COVID had a number of different impacts on us this year, the same as it had for everyone else. And some of Lars' experience and Dave's experience really resonate with us. I kind of split how I think about it in terms of what happened with commercial projects, how that impacted London Mural Festivals, events, funding, press, and timing. So, you know, when COVID first hit, because of the part of our business is around outdoor advertising and painting murals for brands, that all stopped completely. And so all of a sudden we have a 10-person team who has a lot more time to help focus on London Mural Festival, which was being driven by us. And that focusing for us, the timing was actually really lucky in that respect. Also, we needed to work with amazing project managers to help London Mural Festival work. And the events industry just wasn't happening. So there were a lot more great people who were available, who were able to come on board and help us realize this London Mural Festival. And we realized, hey, we've got the time to do this. It's going to be really well received. Mural painting works with social distancing. It's outside. You have people in the lift and on the ground, so it works for social distancing. And like Dave said, it gave us a focus on more local artists. Now, I'm really lucky, we're really lucky that we're in London, and the UK has an incredible wealth of talent. And if you're going to organize the world, you know, the first London Mural Festival, you've got to do justice to local artists anyway, and they have to be really well represented. So it kind of worked with us. And when I say local artists, I mean, the UK has amazing artists who were born here, but it also has amazing artists who moved here. So because London's so international anyway, you can still have an amazing international mural festival just by working with people that live in London anyway. But of course, some people came over too. So, you know, like I said, and I keep saying it again and again, I'll say it until the day I expire, but the mission has always been to live in painted cities. So we really wanted to focus on the painting. I don't really care about the raves, the parties, and the sound stages, because it wasn't what we really wanted to happen anyway. So COVID kind of took that pressure away, because we knew we weren't able to do that anyway. So people stopped asking us about the after parties and everything, and we just got to focus on the murals. So, you know, funding was a challenge. We were the main sponsors, but we had other sponsors. Some people fell away. We had no government support, but because of the way that our experience has been with funding in the UK in the past, we've never relied on government support, and we've never really had any. So we tried to bootstrap the festival, where we did have like individual property developers and landlords that paid for a wall. Any money that could have made went straight back into the festival. We put our time into it and we funded it ourselves. And it provided work for like lots of ground staff, videographers, at a time when there was so little other work anyway, that was kind of appreciated. The festival helped look out for people that way. We've also tried to buy art from lots of artists, and just find funding. Where there was funding for a wall, artists were really well paid, but where not, we try to buy art or do something kind of creative and clever to just try and make it work for everyone. And it was a challenge. It was a challenge, but we got there in the end. I think the value of art changes depending also what's happening in the broader environment. So what I mean is, like, COVID happened this year, but also this was a year of Trump and Brexit and Black Lives Matter and stories of racial inequality and fucking climate change, excuse my language. But any one of those stories is so dense and hard to come to terms with in itself, that a year of such challenging news meant that when people were doing positive things, it was so well received. So we were featured in broadcast media more than 10 times. It reached like up to 1 billion people through potential press reaches. It did really well on social media. And we weren't expecting that, and it took us by surprise, but of course it was really welcome. And the artists that put in so much time and effort to paint really deserve that as well. So we kind of felt at some points, like at the end of the news, it was like, oh, and now something kind of not terrible. And so people received it kind of well. So we were grateful for that. And we just let the event snowball a little bit in itself. So we were able to work with 200 artists. We painted more than 50 large scale walls. At one event, we had a 100 artist jam, but because they were graffiti pieces around a 400, 500 meter kind of construction site, everyone had barriers between their spaces. So even that could work under social distancing. So it felt really strange to kind of go against the grain a little bit. But it was well received because of it. You know, we did lose funds because of it. It certainly wasn't all positive. COVID made things really challenging, but it also meant that the timing was in some respects, I wouldn't say better, but that we were able to carry on meant it was kind of well received, especially. And we flipped the narrative as well. We didn't invite people to see painting when it was happening, but we published a map at the end and said, okay, now London Mural Festival is not closed, but actually now it's open. So, you know, and we were surprised that we met people doing bike tours and taking their kids around London to photograph and share those murals. And that was a really lovely thing that we weren't necessarily expecting. And it happened because we published a map at the end.
Cool. Sounds good. Stefan, how is it in Basel?
Yeah, we also had a lot of fun this year. Like our bigger events usually start way before. So we had 2019 a great call of a company which we approached years ago because they had a huge, massive gray concrete wall right on the entry to Basel when you come from the airport. And a few years ago, they didn't want to give us this wall because they still rented it out for advertising space. And last year, they had this great idea on their own to contact us and let it get painted. The wall is altogether 60 meters long, around 20 meters high. That's quite big for Switzerland, probably one of the biggest walls we had there. So we were super excited about this project, and we're starting really, really excited and super happy into the year. Already had planned our favorite artist to get over, already had the plan set to start in spring. Like for us was the sooner the better. Let's start this big wall. And then things started to look not so good anymore, but we didn't took it too serious in the beginning because we always thought like we mostly like to do our events for the artists. So artists is always number one. We still care about the others, but not as much. So if we can do an event with the artist, then that's all the people we need for an event. We had a great lineup with Mr. Sense from England and Golden from Miami. Wanted to have Golden here in Switzerland and show him around. And then sooner or the more the things get more critical here in Switzerland, we started thinking about, is it still a smart idea to start this whole thing now in the next few weeks, or are we going to push it ahead? And basically, the company who asked us to paint the wall took this decision of us because they said we want to have people coming there. We want to have a small festival around it. Like we want to present this wall, this whole project for everybody. And so for us, it was like, okay, let's push it a month. Then we pushed it for a month. Then we pushed it for another month. Then we pushed it for 3 months. And then it was next to other smaller things which started to get cancelled. We've seen a lot of artists, also the artists which we approached already, that they also get hit hard by all the cancellations of their jobs. And so it also became a matter of having some income for the artists to make this event, to get them payment for their wall, because it was really, really a rough time for a few in the beginning. And the company still didn't want to give us the go, but they were really kind in offering us to pay already 50% of all the artist fees up front. So we could give the artists who needed it already a little bit of the money to get through the summer. And as summer approached, things started to look a little bit better. So we were all super enthusiastic again and started tackling it for, when was it, July, the festival. Then we had to push it to August because we saw we won't get our American friend to Switzerland. And then we started all these crazy plans to get him into Switzerland. The last was to fly him to the Netherlands, because the Netherlands pretty much didn't give a shit about having people having a lockdown or so everybody could still fly to the Netherlands.
I heard about it.
But this one was not possible sadly, and then we had to say a big sorry to Golden around 4 weeks before the event. Then we were smart enough to replace him with a Spanish artist. So this looked good for like a week, and then Spain got a lockdown, and then that whole card house broke together again. So basically it was the whole year for us just like keep the hope up to make something happen. And in the other time, it was like always these setbacks from other people who say like, yeah, you can't get your artist here. You can't get your show done. In the end, we could convince the company to just do it. Like we all wanted to have something different. We all wanted to have different news, because newspapers and TV stations were full the whole time. And what we can do as artists and as an association is bring a little bit color, a little bit joy to the people, and brighten up their spirit or their daily life in this situation. And so we could find an agreement then with the company to make it anyway. And we didn't make advertising for it. We made it a little bit advertising on social media for those people who want to come by. We were a little bit overwhelmed with all those people who came by then in the end. But altogether, it was just, it had also some positive things, the whole event. We got a little bit more in contact with the whole local community who helped us out for all little things. We also got approached by a few companies who wanted to help us out with jobs and for artists and other possibilities to keep the whole thing rolling. Another project we had this year was with the Swiss Post. They approached us to make stamps with different artists. And this should be a big event, a big live painting with a big tralala around it. And it ended up for the artists to just work in their studio and in the end sent the artwork, and this was scanned and got made into a postcard.
Okay, sounds good. Right. Thanks, everybody. I think I closed the round quickly, talking about my own situation. Yeah, it's 10 years Urban Art now. It's 10 years Urban Art Festival Amsterdam. So all our plans got actually cancelled in March. because I myself work at big music festivals like Lollapalooza, for instance. They all got canceled as well. So talking with different promoters, we decided not to go through because there was no security, no confirmation if anything would happen. And so actually what we did is we reorganized our whole organization. We digitalized a lot. We brought it all to a new level and did all the tasks we never did, and went with a crew of people to set up and to plan a platform for hybrid events. And this is now at Wynwood Mural Fest. We organized the Dutch Urban Art Exhibition with 20 really dope artists from the Netherlands. And we are going to keep this production because like probably next year as well, things are not going to be back to normal as fast as we would like to. So riding on this digital path with like local live events and internet digital events as a combination is something like we are digging more and more into, and which means like as much as I could complain about the year and the challenges that my organization faced, it also brought up new possibilities like hybrid events and an amazing platform where you can have 360 walkthrough exhibitions. And that's also like the thing I want to come up for our next round, because I think like everybody made a wonderful talk about like, okay, what happened? But I think like also 1, 2, 3 rounds already came in one thing. So, I mean, not asking you about the biggest challenge, it's about what was your learning from this year and how do you apply that for next year? So what's up in Copenhagen 2021?
Well, I think what we learned is that painting is actually become a more hot commodity in terms of creating events, because a lot of other events are centered around getting a lot of people together in the same place, where enjoying painting in public space, you don't need to be a big crowd at the same place to enjoy painting in public space. So we're actually now working on a festival for next year that will replace the normal kind of a street party in a city in a weekend, because they are not going to do a normal street party that summer weekend, but then they're going to have an urban art party instead. So we're going to be supplying a bunch of murals to a city, and instead of them having a big concert and a big rave and so on, they're going to have paintings all around the city, and then people can go around and enjoy that. Obviously, maybe it's not exactly the same crowd that would enjoy music with a beer in the hand, but it's another form of culture, and I think that's one of the things. Another thing is that we also learned that a lot of companies and commercial partners are not affected by COVID at all. You know, some of them are really heavily affected, but others are like, we're not affected at all. Quite the opposite. We're maybe like, we're more busy, like we're making more money. So in terms of people working with commercial partners for sponsorships or for commissions and so on, there's a lot of stuff to dig into that are maybe even more relevant now than it was in the past. So it's of course it's about adjusting, but it's also, I think, we already operate in a world where we're used to adapting and thinking out of the box and going for new challenges and all this stuff. And at the end of the day, it's all about finding the option where you have a wall or you have a space and you're able to put artists with paint in their hands in front of this wall, and then watch the magic happens. And I think COVID is not a big blocker of this. So yeah, I think for me, next year looks quite nice and quite busy. Yeah, I'm all about getting all the vaccines and hopefully getting a travel passport and going out into the world again. But until then, I will stay really busy in the greater Copenhagen area, doing projects and events, like you guys said, working with a ton of local artists that are already here, and they are also not traveling anyway, so they are around to work. Everybody gets a little bit more home field advantage than we're used to. But I'm really looking forward to next year. I think a lot of people, building on what Lee said earlier, I think a lot of people are going to be looking more into public art and public painting, because people are going to be really tired of sitting at home doing nothing. Maybe they can't go out in a big crowd, but they can definitely go out in the world. Yeah, so I mean, that's my wrap up. I think the painting world looks nice for next year. The only thing we're not going to have back is the big festivals and maybe all the airplane travel. But that can wait another season or two. It'll be back eventually.
Hopefully.
Have some babies, to kill the time. I can recommend it. Like
okay, gotcha.
You can still make it. If you start tonight, you're gonna be good in 9 months.
For next year.
Lars says start tonight. I'll let my lady know. Darling, we're doing this for Lars.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Lars really, he really has good ideas. So no, but like the most important lesson for us, it was like there's always a way to get your festival done, in my opinion, right? I mean, we had a lot of options, and eventually we choose one of the options that were really realistic at that time. And we really are positive as well for the next upcoming edition. We have the dates already planned, 5 till 12 September. The location of the festival, it's done already, and now we're really continue like we always do, and hopefully we can have international artists as well, for 2021. And what we are really looking into now are maybe a certain area in Europe that artists can always travel, so they can take the car, or they can take the train, or they can take the bus, or maybe the plane, but looking into countries that is not impossible to travel to Rotterdam. So we are really looking into that right now, and hopefully our plan is to submit this year all the artists for upcoming edition, and hopefully we'll be able again to make a connection between Dutch artists and international, hopefully we can do the music festival. I know a lot of festival organizations in the Netherlands are thinking really out of the box with a lot of different COVID-proof editions. So, I think with the vaccine coming, hopefully we'll be there in time, and hopefully it will be good. But there are a lot of options, and we are really positive about the outcome. And I think we can do. I'm really positive about the fact that we can do more than we did last year. I mean, our focus will be, of course, street art, but hopefully we can do live music and more gallery shows as well, and more tours, and get more people together.
Cool. Lee, what's up in London next year?
So learnings and how we'd apply it to next year. It's a really hard question, because I don't think we're out of the woods yet. And I'm not sure the dust has settled enough for us to really know the key lessons. And I think it's probably too soon. We're still in COVID. We still have Brexit coming up over here. We're not sure how that's going to affect us for next year. Whenever you organize a big event, you learn a lot anyway. I'm not sure. So we've learned loads by doing London Mural Festival. We realize it shouldn't be every year, because it wouldn't be special if it was. So we're not thinking to do it next year, also because of the cost, to be honest, and just the emotional and energy, required to invest in it. It's just too much for our small team to take on annually. But again, I say it wouldn't be special. So right now we think maybe every 4 years, even. Maybe it's not every 2 years. So I'm not quite sure what that looks like yet. We're not quite sure the lessons that could apply to next year But I guess at the same time, you know, because we're based on a very simple mission to live in painted cities, COVID is a blip in a very long-term focus. So I'm not going to mistake a clear view for a short distance. There'll be a lot of other hurdles along the way as well, and a lot of things that make it more challenging, but that's expected. And the idea is to persist in an impossible mission, but to just try and take it as far as we can, and then hand it over to new generations and new people to carry that focus on. So we'll keep doing that. But standing back and looking at for big lessons, I think for us it probably feels a bit too soon, and I don't think we've really had the headspace to consider what that might look like.
All right, gotcha. Stefan, what's up in Basel next year?
Well, I think we started. What did we learn from this year?
Yeah.
So what did we... Well, we learned from this year, and what we're gonna take into next year is to look a little bit more around in our closer surroundings for artists, because there is always a lot of artists around, but if you need an artist for a time, for 2 weeks to work on a big project, most of them tell you they rather go to holidays when they only have 4 weeks holidays a year and not making a big mural production. So we are scouting new talents, new other artists which we have not met before. And what we're gonna do is a little bit go away from these huge events, because we are all doing this in my association. All the members are doing this at a voluntary base. And if you do a big mural production with 3 main artists and another 40 artists in the weekend of the jam, then it takes you weeks, months, if not the full year of working on it. And what we're going to do now is go a little bit back to what we started 2007. We started at that time with setting up graffiti jams, because graffiti jams was a big thing in the 90s. And then everybody had fights at the graffiti jams, and so nobody made graffiti jams anymore. And we want to try to set up maybe a new jam, which we do locally here in Basel, and put more energy into having something done for the local artists and for the local community. I guess that's our main goal, which we maybe overlooked a little bit in the last few years with our bigger projects we had.
Nice. Yeah, I think I can just also summarize what relates to urban art now is we are definitely happy to be part of Wynwood Mural Fest and to make like this step in a hybrid event, step in a digitalization. And we're definitely going to do that for next year as well. So there was lots of lessons learned, lots of skills actually to be learned. So it's just like a constant development on where we want to proceed. And what's definitely going is like we are doing this 10 years Urban Art Festival in 2021, hopefully with a big exhibition and a lot of mural paintings all around Amsterdam, and then coming back with everybody live in Miami in 2021. Is there something you guys want to add, or you really need to tell what was your inspiration? What is the final words you just want to give out to everybody, to artists, to promoters, to peace to Miami? Lars.
I think one of the main challenges that I find at the moment is actually, it's also, of course, in our subculture, it's a problem right now that we don't have all these events, that we don't have all these jams, that we don't have all these festivals that we are, for the last 10, 20 years, kind of built upon. And for me, it's become harder to find new inspiration, to find new artists, to see new trends, because you would normally do that at all the other international events around the place, like going to Miami, for example. I think that's a little bit of a challenge. Obviously, there's other ways to find it, and I mean, you can scroll on your phone until there's no more battery. But I think that's really missing. And also, I often find that new projects, in terms of both in business and culture, they often arrive from another event. You go to one event, you get some exposure there, you talk to new people, and sooner or later they will come back into your circles, and new music will start. So right now, the food chain is a little bit broken in terms of evolving and developing. I'm sure it will find new ways, but sitting here looking back at what is my new input, and what's my new buzz for the last for this year. I mean, there's nothing, because I couldn't go to any places. I couldn't go and see all this new shit happening all over the place. So I think my creative food chain is a little bit challenged in that way. I'm sure it'll be back. I think this puts even more pressure on event organizers and so on to, make good documentations, make good interviews, work good with social media, do nice after movies, publish books about the outcome of your events and so on, because that's going to be another way of getting it more out there than people, visiting in real life. So that's one thing that I'm trying to find a new way for. And I hope I can go to Miami next year and pick up a lot of inspiration, because Miami was one of the key points where I did that. So yeah, Miami and America, please come back as soon as possible.
Dave.
Yeah, I mean, nothing really to add on. I mean, but to keep it like very positive. I really like to if you see like the social media, you see like a lot of artists what they have did like in COVID times. I think a lot of artists are developing. I mean, it's very hard these times, but like if I see like locally a lot of artists and on international scale as well, everybody is trying to reinvent themselves. In my opinion, you see a lot of new things coming, and a lot of experimenting as well. So I mean, I really hope that like with the vaccine and all that we can go back to normal like upcoming year, so we can see all the new stuff and all the experimental things, because I think a lot of artists are doing crazy things that we all really want to see live. So yeah, that's like an add-on what Lars is saying.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I have much to add to that, really. I think I'm kind of aligned with what Lars and Dave have said. I think, boredom is great for creativity, and being locked in a studio and working on your own practice, maybe away from social media and away from other people, is a really healthy way to come up with new ideas. It depends how much of your time you'll spend thinking by yourself and coming up with your ideas, or being on social media, which I think is probably not great for creativity, because you're seeing the same as everyone else. I think if you've got to remember that, like, first comes adversity. A lot of people have struggled to pay rent. There's a huge economic turmoil. It's been really difficult for so many people this year, and will continue to be in the years to come. For the people, however, who have not been so badly affected and have been able to get through it, the extra time and maybe the boredom or the space to think and work on studio practice probably will lead to new flourishes of creativity that hopefully will be born on the walls and in the gallery shows in the years to come. I think maybe with most people staying at home for such extended periods of time within the UK, it's probably allowed people that don't think of themselves as artists or who aren't professional artists to draw, to sketch a bit more sometimes, depends if you're raising kids, but a lot of people have probably picked up hobbies again, be it music or art that they've not been into for a while because you were on furlough, you didn't have the chance to do it. And I think there's been definitely, what we saw at London Mural Festival was a big appreciation from the public in art. And if that persists because people have had a chance to dabble again themselves, that's not a bad thing either. I think everyone on this call has really pointed out that not what we as organizers or people that know a lot of artists and hang out with artists think about, but the public has been really receptive, and that level of public support might not go away. You know, that would be a really nice thing if, as a result of all of this shit, that there is an increased space for public art and mural art and street art and urban art and whatever you want to call it going forward. So, you know, remains to be seen.
Cool. Stefan.
Yeah, well, what should I say? Not much to add to it. I think it's important to stay positive in this situation. It's a horrible pandemic, and people dying on it and people losing their job. But at the same time, I have never seen so much chances in my life for this world to turn around and to go in another direction. I see it even if I go away from the art and I look to my local farm where I go buy my eggs when I go out walking with my daughter. As this pandemic started, it was sold out on eggs from day one to the last day, and people were out. People start think local and act local, and I see it also as a chance. I kind of like to not see planes in the air. I like the challenge of you have to be on your own now for a year in the studio and not just for months. Like, to be honest, I'm an artist as well. I didn't even recognize any kind of lockdown during the first lockdown because I'm in my studio every day alone and I do my stuff all the time alone. So to all the people who can't get edge, you have to get used to be with yourself and just take away the positive things, because there are so many positive things which come with that whole slowing the world down, so people can start focusing on other things instead of the big bright picture. I would also love to be in Miami. I'm now in a place which is 0 temperatures, except today. 1 year ago, I landed in beautiful Miami with 30 degrees. But maybe it's just good that nobody can fly to Miami this year, and we give this world another year of living or something like that.
Yeah, nice. I think I don't have anything to add. I would just sign everything you said, guys. Thank you so much for joining this talk. I think it was really super interesting, also super inspiring. And we just look, just go positive in 2021. This was the Culture Brunch at Wynwood Mural Fest, hosted by Urbane now. Thanks, guys, and see you on the street in Miami next year. Peace.
Thank you, Marcus.
Thanks all.
Hey.
Bye.